Okay, we get it started. I think that should work. How does that sound? Yep. Okay. So today is developers.stream. Not Liquid Sky. I was just trying to play with setting different pieces up there. I need to find a better place to put that. Like dock. Window. There you go. Dock pinned. Leave it as that. Okay, so on Monday, when we began working on this, we actually got the callback stuff running. So we were able to get the hey, I want to link my Twitch account to call out to Twitch, send us back to our site to confirm that piece, do the code flow. Again, it requires a secret from this side to then confirm that code. And then when that happens, we get an authentication code back, which gives us the ID token. And in there contains preferred name, which that is the stream name. So we can then confirm that stream belongs to the person clicking the link, right? Because it's going to have asked them to log in and validate that and whatnot. And all we care about is that we're not asking for permissions to do stuff in this application. We're just asking for confirmation that you actually have a Twitch account that is linked to something you control. Online, good morning. How are you doing? I am strangely tired this morning, so forgive me if I'm kind of groggy. Fell asleep side of that description. Strangely tired. I'm normally a little bit more, even when I don't get that much sleep, I'm normally a little bit more high energy or higher energy than I feel right this second. Actually, I forgot to check. Let's see what my CPAP machine tells me. Okay. Apparently I had a relatively decent night's sleep. Okay. So, two things that are bugging me. Number one, why does it keep opening this window? I want to use Rider because I'm more comfortable in the development. I do know that I can open it in Visual Studio and have things behave slightly differently, but I want to make the Rider experience work, and I will continually open it in Visual Studio just to make sure that stays true. Because again, I realize that not everyone has Rider. But this window, it opens. I cannot find the URL that it redirects from. I cannot find it opening this. I've got everything set to do not open. It's really frustrating me. I'm not sure whether it's a rider specific behavior but I cannot find Aspire. Do not launch browser for child projects. Let's try that. That would be awesome if it doesn't do that. Maybe. Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in, raiders. How was the stream? Get much done today? Okay, we may have solved this problem. Okay. Vibing. Okay. Nice. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just getting... No, we haven't solved this problem. We are liar. I'm trying to figure out why this window opens. It doesn't matter, but it's frustrating me. It's just one of those little things, you know. So welcome in. Friday is developers.stream on the stream. So today we are working on the project that I aim to build to help support developers who stream. So the goal of this is when I open it in the right browser window. So the intention, obviously it's very rough right now, Rambling Geek, good afternoon, is I have a list of streamers, right? And you are able to, you know, the long-term goal is you'll be able to search for these by, you know, I want all C# developers, I want .NET developers, I want, you know, Ruby developers or Perl, right? Being able to find and filter based upon tags that the streamer themselves has set up in the application. They'll be able to go into their profile and set their streamer name. So again, I stream on Twitch and YouTube. I am TBD Gamer on Twitch, but my YouTuber handle is TBD Develops, but this will be a common name. Ouch! Someone wants Ruby developers, I'm sure. No exclusion. And you can describe yourself. So the idea is, actually, I was watching a stream yesterday. Maya someone doing Ruby development. And data scientist as well. So I got rated in there. I'll be honest, I didn't go looking for Ruby content, but I realized, oh, you're doing Ruby. Anyway. So yeah, you can kind of use your name, set the name up. Again, I'd probably do TBD Gamer here because it's the, you know, my Twitch channel and the one I'm most associated with, and then some description, trying to help people understand who you are, what you are, and then you'll be able to link the account. So we're working on this linked Twitch account right now, and thank you very much for the follow, RJ. The concept being that I don't want to, I'm not going to scrape Twitch or scrape YouTube and find these streamers, right? I am going to help promote this. I'm going to hope that other people promote this, and that when they sign up for this, they just log in using you can log in using your Twitch account or your YouTube account or whatever your account we're linked to, and then you link your channels. There's no pressure, there's no scraping, there's no forced, you know, entry into this database. It's just you choose when you want to go in there. And then when you link Twitch account, this will go to Twitch and confirm that account. Right. What we have right now is we have a challenge with the redirect. So that's what I'll be working on today. So what that's done is developers.stream, this window, hopefully my ports stay the same. Yep. And what happens is right now it'll create this record in here. So that's saying, okay, I've verified that TBD Gamer is the channel, and therefore this streamer, TBD Gamer, has a stream linked to Twitch, right? So we know that it's a Twitch platform. So that's the goal right now, to try and get that redirect working so that when you click that link, it goes back to that original page, because it's actually calling out to an API, and then it'll redirect from the API back to the main account, back to the main site. So I've just got to learn more about how this works. So the other day we did API needs a reference to web, web needs a reference to API. So this, as far as I know, should give me some lookup or reference to this. I just don't know what that looks like right a second. So I've got to figure out how to ask that question. So I'm just gonna, again, I do my searching off screen for now. It's just much easier if it yields pertinent results or it has bearing. I will bring it up on screen. Just being transparent. I'm not going off and just randomly typing stuff and then coming back with an answer. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not flicking back and forth between screens. Actually, I'm asking my my developer to write the code so I can just paste it in and look better. My developer's called Claude. One thing I never do for streams is I never prepare. I pretty much enter into every stream. Like, I sit here watching YouTube right up until the last minute, then I go, okay, we'll go live now. I do some tinkering, obviously, I do some programming and stuff, but I don't prepare for the stream. I feel that it's much more real to show, it doesn't matter if you've got a ton of experience. It doesn't all just sit there on your head and, oh yeah, that's how I solved that problem. Sometimes you got to look things up. Sometimes you don't know. And what's happening? What's that? Fallen into quite a good routine because basically my wife and daughter are both in school. My wife's a teacher, my daughter's in high school. So they both leave around 6:30. So when they're gone, the dogs have whatever snacks from my breakfast or whatever. And then as soon as they know I'm about to stream, the dogs go and lay down on their bed beside me, and they sit there. Right, they fall into this habit. They will actually sleep there until 9 a.m. When they hear me say, "Thanks for joining me. Have a great day," they know that I'm shutting things down, and they know that's the time to move and get up and do things. So it's kind of an interesting pattern we're falling into, which is all going to get messed up in a week because it's a spring break. So there's a week of other people being home. I'm chronically alone. I would I'd be lying if I said I didn't envy you someday. I have a reference from one project to another. I want how do I reference the other by alias by a service discovery. So the problem is not just one of how do I do this, right? So this address has to redirect to the public address of this, right? That's the challenge. How do I resolve that public address? I can't have it resolved to the internal address. I need the public address of this site. So configure service reference, add service reference. Yeah, that's the problem. Ah, I don't want that. Use the client. I don't want a reference. I don't want an Aspire specific piece of code in my API. I just want the reference. My understanding is it gives you a kind of a configuration. So this API here, right, is where I'm doing the redirect from. I need this to resolve whatever this is. API with reference API, my API. Yeah, get service URI. Like, so the suggestion is that if I have, let's try this, I configuration. No, because they're saying service provider. They're saying service provider. Okay. No, that actually that's in that. So, so the what the cloud stuff is showing is configuration dot get service URI is available there. My thought is that what that is a Aspire piece, but that wouldn't help me anyway. Yeah, I want whatever service discovery is. Like it says, in development, Aspire automatically handles service discovery for you. In production, it can integrate with various service discovery mechanisms depending on your deployment environment. So yeah, I want service discovery somewhere along here to resolve this address. But again, I want the public address. Why would I? Service discovery is not really going to help me with that, is it? I'll tell you what, let's do it this way because it's all hard coded. Let's make sure that that works, and then we'll tackle that. What? Oh, because I'm not running. The container gets shut down afterwards. So the way my stream works, if you are new to the stream, is if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you think I'm going off track, you're more than welcome to do a little bit of backseating. I reserve the right to ignore, as always. I'm not new to development, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So I'm always willing to accept thoughts and opinions on what I'm doing. If we disagree, we disagree. Okay, so with it running, I want to take this out. Oh, best of luck with the interview. May it go well for you. Thank you very much for the raid again, maybe. Take care. So we've deleted that record. So now we go back over here and we can just launch the website, right? So we don't need to keep opening the Aspire dashboard. And that's one of the benefits that Rider gives me, essentially gives me the dashboard there. So now when we click on profile and we hit link Twitch account, it should navigate to Twitch and it'll redirect back in and then it'll redirect back here. Nice. Okay, so that's working. So ultimately that will come down from a configuration. So let's make that configurable at least for right this second. If someone comes along and says, oh, you can use service discovery, they can do the PR for it if they want to. Let's do this. Let's do developers. Let's do services. Website. Yes, localhost 7102. And well, stop. What I paused on there was naming that something that's specific to the application. I'm kind of trying to promote the idea that that's what I'm trying to represent, right? Services website. I'm not trying to, actually, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now, do we want to make that configuration? Yeah, probably. Let's make that configuration. Add. I really need to get some keyboard setups here. Infrastructure. Services configuration. Public string website. Equals null. Go over here and add options. Builder dot services dot configure. Services configuration. There you go. Now let's do options. Options. Services configuration. Why are you helping me so much today? That suggests I've got a NuGet package mismatch there. Yes, I do. Oof. Lots of things have been updated, haven't they? Microsoft must have released. Yeah. Being that I'm not doing PRs for this stuff right now, I'm just getting it working. I do not want to mess around sticking behind on older versions. There is some risk in that, especially when you go in with these database libraries, because they fall out of sync with the maintainers, because they're not on the same schedule. That can be risky doing what I just did. But I'd rather me find out and learn that lesson in a project that I can undo than one I've got people breathing down my neck for. It's another reason why it's useful to have side projects, right? It doesn't have to be work, but it can be doing stuff and learning and using techniques and tools that you want to use, so that when you're using them in work, they are there. Var website URL equals configuration of our website. Let's do that. What I'm debating there, and that's interesting that I just did double. What I'm debating there is, should I be hard coding account profile in there? Or should I put in here, or either in here, profile redirect? And that's account profile, or not profile, it would be what would this be? What would this be? Because having that hard coded, I mean, right now I'm using the I'm using minimal API here, but having that hard coded is obviously costly because now there's somewhere in my code that has that set, and if I have it from other places, then like if I confirm different accounts, like right now this is linked Twitch account. This URL might be different based upon where it's coming from. I could do other things, but I might want to redirect. So I'm kind of contemplating website. Is it website or is it profile or is it? Let's go with profile redirect. Let's not overthink it. Let's see how it feels. I'm not doing a rename on that because I want to do something different there. And that, instead of that, let's do configuration value.profile redirect. Right. So that's there now. Let's run that and make sure it all works. Apex, good morning. Hope you are well. I am good. I am good. It is Friday, which is good. Okay, so we have that running. Let's go to services, the web. Oh, it's still initializing. Okay. This should start shortly. Oh, okay. So let's start that up. I really should launch that in a different browser. No, go away. I don't know why it starts that extra window. So we go to profile, we go to link Twitch account, we navigate through, it'll redirect back in. There we go. Okay, so we'll actually have two there now because we don't check. Okay, so that is working just fine, which is cool. Yeah, fine. Let's stop running that. Let's commit. Oh dear. Oh, because I updated everything. It's fine. Let's do that. Service configuration. API. Link Twitch accounts. After clicking link account, redirect. So that flow is the website. You click the button, it navigates to Twitch to with our client, with the client ID that I've set up. Obviously, I'm now gonna have to make that configurable. That has to change in a minute. That navigates to Twitch. Twitch would make you log in or whatever you're doing there. That I'm logged in on that browser because I'm logged into the stream, right? It would then redirect back to the API, not the website, which then confirms the account by taking that code that Twitch passes in, using the secret from there, confirming the account. Again, so this would be behind, so that the client would never expose the secret down there. And then on completion of that, we'll redirect back to the profile page in the main site. So it's a bit of a hop, but yeah. Update. Actually, before we do that, let's just check these out. What I do in here, that's the reference, doesn't actually matter. Need to have channel name, delegate configured in all pieces. Yeah, I'm still a little bit fuzzy on the why there. I'm not sure I actually need that at this point. I can roll that back rather than have that in there. We can roll this back because we can't do that. Okay, so that's that. So rather than create a class that has methods on it for no reason, right? If I need just a method to do something, but I want to make it injectable, I use this pattern of creating a delegate. And I got this originally actually from Jimmy Bogard's mediator library. I saw this pattern used and I went digging down. So basically I set up a delegate. So I'm saying that I have a method that will accept a Twitch authentication response and it will return a task of string, a nullable string. So then I define a static version of that just behaves the way I expect it to do. If I had a class that provided that method and I was working with that, I could still provide that method in there. Nothing says I can't. You need to give it a method to invoke. I kind of like this way of doing this because I don't then end up with a class created just to represent one method, because then you end up with a naming challenge. But then I have Twitch defaults dot fetch channel from authentication response, and then it just uses that method. So define delegate for extracting Twitch id token actually. For finding unverified. So when we go to make the request to Twitch, right? This is the next part we're going to work on here now. When we go to make the request to Twitch, we have to build this state string and a nonce, but in all their examples, they're the exact same value. And the state string is passed back to me when it goes to with the code to allow me to confirm this is a request I'm making. If that state string doesn't match something I've got. So what I do is when you initialize the request, it creates this record and gives you a random GUID, a random string back, actually not a GUID, a random string back, which then is posted to Twitch. Twitch then provide that string so I can use that state value to look that back up. Right. So if it's an unverified request with that state, then yeah, I'm good. I can proceed. I can update it. Update libraries for state libraries to latest versions. Right. I'd rather have them all on the latest version of the library and keep moving it forward. And, at the point you go to production, you stop doing that, right? That becomes a much larger commitment because at the point you go to production, your testing stops happening in the same way, right? So, but up until that point, I will be clicking around. I'll be doing random things. If I'm going to hit a bug, I'll hit a bug. And yes, I'll update everything. I might actually end up with a challenge of which thing did I change, right? But it's all good. So this linked Twitch account, this is what Twitch calls back into with that code and that state. And I go and authenticate first. I could move that actually. Let's get the channel that we're expecting first. And if channel is null, don't even bother with the code. That's probably safer. Right. So if we try and request a state that's already been verified, it won't even bother with the code part. And then if not, authentication is valid. Turn unit value. This is not the end of this piece, right? There's going to be more here. Interesting. Do you lock packages? Do you get packages to a version of production then? No, not necessarily, but you should make it once you have a production app running, you should make it a quarterly or whatever, even monthly review. There's better tools in GitHub now than there used to be, but I would make it a review of your, at least your core libraries. Has the version changed? What are the changes? Does it affect us? Are there any security things that have appeared in the quarter? And then put it in as an actual story that is tracked as we need to update these. This is the reason why it can't be ignored, and make it an explicit commit that is then understood the testing impact of, right? So you shouldn't allow developers to just it's very difficult to do, especially like something like Liquid Sky where it's a big project, but you should be in the habit of adding a NuGet package from an existing piece. It's up until the point of release, I don't care. I think it's up until the point of before release, obviously, because you need to test. But I think that it's worthwhile being on the latest version and keeping on the latest versions, because you are then always testing that latest version and not, falling out of sync. It's hard to do, especially in larger projects. But you should make it a part of your cycle to check for NuGet package updates and understand security problems, especially if you have websites. Yeah. So here we'll flip this a little bit. We'll make sure we check the channel first, so we don't waste our time authenticating with Twitch. If you actually didn't make this request, or the request has been removed. Again, no unit test right this second. I don't want to force people into unit tests on this project, so I'm not going to mess around with that. Why does C# have a new curly on a new line? Doesn't it waste a lot of vertical space and adds extra indentation? Hi, Harish. That's a personal preference. Some teams will write that as he says. Some teams will write that as that. Personally, I don't like that because I have to read to the right to see it. The curly braces make it stand out. I don't mind that vertical space if these multiple returns aren't ideal either, but I prefer the curly braces. So that's a development team preference. It can lead to mistakes. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. This can also be a thing. But I prefer this, and generally I should be writing this code should not be hundreds of lines anyway, so it shouldn't really matter. The vertical space doesn't really bother me as much, but I prefer this style. And if you're working in a team, what matters is you're consistent across the team, right? SSL bug due to curly braces. Well, yeah. Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, using an editor config in a team, if you know, but there's no rule. You write the code that you want to write the code that you can read. Don't worry about someone saying, oh, curly braces should be here. Curly braces, you know, you always have to have this. You should do this. If you're working with others, agree upon standards. If you're working on your own, write the code you want to read. Write the code you want to read is actually the way I really meant to say that. Yeah, curly braces would help that. It would catch that, absolutely. But again, it's doesn't matter to me if you want curly braces on the same line, you don't want curly braces. The vertical space, verticals, like condensing everything, you'll also notice that I also space things out. Some developers would, you know, put that there. That drives me crazy, right? Because I can read it as it's blocked out. That, again, that's a personal preference that I've evolved. You know, I like the spacing. It helps me read the chunks of code. I put things like this together; they make sense. But don't write code to be concise, especially when this is all jittered anyway, right? A machine goes over this, condenses it all down, changes it all around, and makes it optimized. So all this space doesn't mean anything to the actual compiler. You're not getting memory optimization from doing that. You're just getting, look, I can write it in 5 lines. Also, what do you think about the new AI stuff really replacing software developers? Again, I agree with Apex. It's not replacing developers. AI is a tool that can help speed us up. If you are new to software development, you should not rely upon it. It is at best 6 months out of date and even longer in most cases. Most of the models you're looking at are way out of date, and our software is moving quicker than that. It can be a good, useful tool. It can filter through some of the noise, especially with older languages like .NET or like C# and JavaScript, etc., because it will help filter out some of those things, but it's also not infallible. So copying and pasting what you see in AI is poor. So I don't think it will replace developers. Well, I don't think it will replace developers in my lifetime. Hopefully, I'm only halfway through that, so we should be good. Nice. I didn't see that one. The Scott Hanselman talk is always worth watching. Or I'll just give you straight up wrong answers. Don't let Google searches automatic AI recommend bash scripts. It gets them dead wrong. So the way I look at AI, and I've said this before to Ramble Geek, is even if you're using AI to help prompt you to get to a solution, you have to know what you're asking it. You have to know that the answer it's giving you makes sense, and you have to validate those results in some way, right? You have to make sure that you understand the pieces you're putting into your code. So it just helps you. It might prompt you. It might teach you some things by showing you things that you wouldn't have found just through searching. But you cannot just take what AI gives you. Yesterday I was trying to do some AWS stuff, and I was relying a bit on the AI to try and prompt me how to use the library. Turns out Amazon has completely changed the library over the past 2 years, and it's referencing NuGet packages that don't exist. Actually, some of them never have. It was making them up, and it just made things more confusing. So I got myself in a right mess in the end. That was on Gemini because that's what work has linked to. I don't know what model it was. We're not. I don't. I don't remember changing that, but I would say whatever Gemini's. Gemini's not been terrible. Claude is better for code. 100% better for code. Um, but even then, right? Actually, this is a perfect example. So I wanted to get that reference, right? It says configure the service. Using a spa, I want a reference from one project to another. That doesn't exist. It might do, but it might exist in a NuGet package, but it didn't exist. Well, no, it was this one, get service URI. This did not exist because this is an I configuration. This doesn't exist. Yeah. You have to read through it. You have to understand it. So, yeah, if you're a student and you are learning about software development, don't get lazy. Uh, make sure you understand the whys, the hows. Like, you know, with the languages they evolve the way they have, like a lot of people don't understand. Like, I don't understand assembler, right? I've not gone that deep. Um, um, I haven't seen much with Claude making stuff that doesn't exist. Up 3.7 was so good around 2 to 3 weeks ago. Huh, went downhill. I don't know. Again, if the model's training off data that's poor, right? It's kind of a feedback loop that's dangerous. Move channel query before authentication verification to avoid unnecessary API calls. Like I think for me, AI has definitely replaced Stack Overflow, especially for .NET stuff, because it just helps focus on newer versions, whereas .NET is old enough that I would imagine it's the same for Java, but I don't go searching through Java, right? The older APIs and stuff in the framework just Stack Overflow just doesn't filter them, and you end up with looking at a .NET thing from 2013, and it's very different. You know, framework versus .NET is yeah, modern .NET is a different challenge. Okay, so um, um, where we're going next for this? What we're going next to? AI is a statistic model and likely trained to be some form of bell curve model. Yeah, you generally wouldn't refer to it like that, but yes, they are token prediction machines. Yeah. Morning trap, by the way. So if we blindly copy what is in AI, generated from these models into our code base, and models train off of the same code that we're building that is built off them, does it become progressively worse? Because it's not, again, from the token prediction perspective, it's not smart enough to, it's not smart at all. It's, it's, it doesn't know how to filter out garbage. Does it mean that it will just kind of cycle around bad stuff? And then we'd have to improve to make it better again? My brain doesn't work very well with LLMs and stuff, but yeah. Okay. So in our profile now, two things. First thing I want to do is get rid of this button if we already have the profile. Second thing I want to do is obviously remove this hard coding, right? Don't forget, Trap does that for a living as well. AI doesn't like to tell that it doesn't know. Well, AI doesn't like to tell that it doesn't know and do whatever it likes to do. Yes, but in the field you wouldn't refer to it like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun. You're wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I am wrong. Here's another wrong answer. Um, I do like that. It's like that person you talk to that just cannot be wrong and has an answer for absolutely everything. Um, on that topic, this is kind of tangential, but it's kind of funny. So yesterday, my daughter was saying, "Oh, Discord's been DDoSed." I'm like, "Do you even know what that means?" She's like, "Yeah." Um, and she's 16, right? So she knows everything. So I said, "Okay, what does it mean?" She went, "Well, it's where they put malware in there, and it stops me from accessing it because the malware's in there or something." And I said, "No, it's not." And so she looked at. I said, "Look it up, understand it, learn." And she said, "See, it says sending malicious traffic," and tapped me on the back of the head and called me stupid. I was like, I said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. You're wrong." No, she goes, "It says malicious there. That's malware." I went, "No, it's not." There's a difference between intent and software. Um, and in the end, she's like, "I said or something." Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm a rocket scientist because I can say we put some fuel in a tube and it goes up in the air or something. I'm a rocket scientist. So because I said or something. But yeah, it was so because it said malicious in the description of a DDoS, that means malware to her, and that means that it does some malware things on their servers. I'm like, okay. I was more upset being called stupid because or something. But anyway, so we have this profile service. I think we're gonna do task. I get a lot of, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. It is Kevin and Perry. Harry Enfield in the 90s nailed the teenagers of today. I mean, it means we were like that back then, but even worse now. Fetch profile, GUID, user identifier. Yeah. If you have children who are coming up on teenagehood, you should look up Kevin Becomes a Teenager by Harry Enfield. It does happen. That was an angel. Uh-huh. Yep. Me too. Bonjour. Kenny. Hello. How you doing? How's progress? How's the last day of the week starting? Last day of the week starting pretty well. We're doing developers.stream. We've got the redirect of Twitch in, so now you can link your Twitch account. And now I'm going to work on getting the profile showing and then get rid of that horrible hard-coded URL. We'll see how far we get. Also having some good chat today, which is nice. So this profile is going to be public class streamer profile. This is a streamer profile service. I don't like doing that. Doing that feels horrible, but anyway. This is, this is a thing that I want to. Oh, streamer profile service. Awesome. That's because of that. That's because of that. Let's do that. We'll move this afterwards. I don't believe so. I have removed all stuff. I may try and get away from the wavelink this weekend. Get rid of it. I've got no enhancements, no changes. I am just, yeah. Apparently, if I talk too loudly, it will quieten me down automatically, and I don't understand what's doing that. So I apologize. Let's get this. So this is fetch profile. We're gonna have a query. Awesome. We'll fetch this in a second. The purpose of this will be that on this profile page, when we load the screen, we'll get the profile, and we'll hide this button if we already have the Twitch account, and then we'll move this to a configuration in the back end so that we can pull this in. I still think I'm going to have issues with my understanding of Blazor, which pieces live where, and that's going to cost me there. But we'll figure that out afterwards. Let's get this profile piece in there because I think I'll be happier if I can just not show that button. So again, the when I click that button, it creates this record that links this stream or this channel to my streamer, right? So now I can link other things, and then we can go through. Once we've got the process and the flow going, it's just a case of building those same parts out for YouTube or Kick or LinkedIn or whatever, assuming we can do those things. We'll figure it out. Okay, so let's go over here. This style bugs me. I dislike this very much so. Get live streamers, get streamer profile. This is public record command, GUID user identifier, I query results. Profile. Let's go with that for right a second. Whoa. Oh dear. Working on a Mac is messing with me. Okay. We don't have results in there yet, so let's add Dallas result. Add that in there. Again, if you're new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to ask. This is developers.stream, which is a site I am building to help support developers who stream, regardless of platform. Support via you sign up, you add yourself to the directory, you set your tags, you set your descriptions so people can kind of learn a bit about you, and we'll also provide an API so that people can hook it into their bot, and that will allow them to ouch. Streamer profile. Oh no, command. That's query then, isn't it? Query QWERTY. That shall be remembered. Ouch. Okay, so our model is streamer, and our identifier is here. So when we sign up, obviously we don't create a record in here until you actually create a profile. So once you've created a profile, this will be present. So this is going to be a little bit challenging. So this screen here, when you hit update there, it forces that. So what we need to do is when you don't have a profile, this button is not valid, right? So that only when you've saved this does these extra buttons become available. And I'm not worrying about style right this second. We can get back there later. Back for the comment regarding my typing abilities. Fair. Okay, so that's streamer. So we need a specification. Streamer by identifier spec. We already have one. Okay, so we can use that spec. So var streamer equals repository dot single default async. New streamer by identifier spec. Query dot user identifier. Cancellation token. Okay. So yeah, on Mondays and Fridays, we work on developers.stream. And on Tuesdays through Thursdays, we work on Liquid Sky. Or I work on Liquid Sky, not we. Say we for developers.stream because this is an open source project. If streamer equals null, return result dot not found. We'll worry about that on the other side in a second. We're gonna have to implement this on the API side as well, which is otherwise, well, actually, do I want that? Streamer by identifier spec. I probably don't want that, do I? I probably want. Actually, streamer has channels. Navigation properties are probably not enabled, so do I include them? Public sealed class streamer by identifier with details spec. So what I'm trying to do here is avoid that unnecessary join when I'm normally pulling this, but include. If you don't use Mac, everyone should switch to Linux. s.channels include s dot tags. Because again, the point of this would be to build that up. So streamer profile is going to have, where is that? Infrastructure contracts. Yeah, that's in the wrong place. And morning, Fratberg. Hope you're well. So public, keyword identifier, public string name, public string blurb, public enumerable channels. No, that's going to be, what's that going to be? Taking my last few minutes before the onslaught begins again. You mean work? Might as well make that a record. What I'm debating is how much of the channel do I really care about. I just care about the fact that I've got the channel. Read the output, please. Dear. Identifier, string name, string blurb, enumerable, channel. What I'm thinking about there is that needs to move somewhere. That needs to move somewhere more appropriate. Application. Have reference to application. This streamer profile probably needs to live here. Let's try that for now. Results. Stream. Okay. Oh, no, not how I wanted to do that. Move the file, move to folder. Application. Queries, results. Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The infrastructure layer. Think about that design. Platform, ID name. Oh, that's not right, is it? Channel, no, channel has platform, yeah. So platform ID, ID name. Name is defined somewhere. So commands, register channel intent. So this is I want to handle this channel. Command.state. Command.platform.identifier. Which is a string. Platform by name spec. With a command coming in is a platform identifier, right? Okay. Yeah. Share kernel platform identifier. So I probably should return it as that. I might regret that, but we'll find out. Yeah. Shout out for Canny Dev. What were you working on yesterday, Canny, if you're still around? I know you're working. Canny works on primarily works on a Twitcher library, which is you're working on a game jam. Nice. I was in the stream. I just wasn't active in the stream. I was working, and then I was off to PT. But that's cool. Who else? So Fullbots, yourself. Is Satellix taking part in Radial? That's cool. I know he was talking about. I don't know if he actually was talking about participating. He might have been talking about it. I might have just got that in my head. He does take part in some game jams, doesn't he? But I don't know about that one specifically. Okay, so that's a streamer profile. My problem with that is that now has an infrastructure reference. Should application have infrastructure? It shouldn't have infrastructure because it's an outgoing, it's on the outside. So that we need to remove. We need to get rid of that. And this result here is public string 4 days of fun. I feel like overscoped already, but pressure is fueling my productivity, right? Right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. Let's just do the same thing. It makes sense as a record. I need to force them anyway, so there's no point in messing around with get sets, inits, etc. I might as well just make sure that I have them. Then I can do that. And that. That. So that's profile. So now let's return a profile from here, and we can adapt it at the right layer. Now, what does that require? So it still needs that anyway. I'm happy with that anyway. Let's go with that for right a second because it feels less like I'm joining a dependency of this into the infrastructure stuff. I'm not entirely sure that's right ordering though. I need to verify that. That feels incorrect because infrastructure lives on the outside, application lives inside of the thing. Infrastructure definitely can't reference application. Can it? I think I've broken something there, but we'll review that later. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm getting confused between because I'm building this as I would do Liquid Sky, but then I've got the client side of the configuration to deal with for Blazor, and I'm still trying to learn those parts. So some of it is a little bit more challenging than others. But as always, I will proceed, and anything can be changed, right? You don't have to worry about getting this all perfect. This is not the end of the world if this references things in the right or wrong order. I can fix them and correct them and move them around later, reflecting on what I actually need. So let's do it that way. So if we have the streamer, this is going to be with detail, right? Because I don't want to have that. And also, there's another thing there, as no tracking. I don't want to attach any proxies or anything to this, right? So this data that's coming out should be the quickest it can possibly get out. By removing tracking, I prevent Entity Framework from applying any proxy objects around the data. It gives me the data. Here's your data. I'm not tracking anything. If you want to commit this data back, you've got to jump through the hoops to do so. So this will do the joins, but it will also remove the tracking, so it will keep that query as speedy as it can. It's a indexed single result query. It's not going to be slow. Even if we had, 1,000 developers registered on the site, this still would not be the worst thing that's ever happened to the software. So if we have a streamer, then we can do return result.ok, new profile, and then this is going to be success, sorry, not okay. It's not HTTP. New profile, and we just went through all the effort of doing a record, and then I'm immediately messing it up. Streamer dot identifier, streamer dot name, streamer dot blurb, streamer dot channels dot select s dot platform dot name, streamer dot tags. Let me guess, GUID. Yeah. Okay. As enumerable. What did I say it tags are? Dot select t dot okay, there we go. There will be no tags right now because we don't have it, but a little bit of a prep. So you see this one is complaining because this streamer profile service also requests this. Essentially what I've got to do is I've got to put the API in there to get that piece. That's the problem. So I don't have this yet. This is so that if it runs on Blazor WASM, it's going to make API calls versus Blazor server, where it's going to resolve all this on the server and send down the data, right? So I've got to learn a bit more about some of those interactive modes and things like that, and understand when I'm doing this. So right now, this will fill out the API, but it will break. Now in my actual profile, we can do public async. Actually, override uninitialized async. Bar profile equals await profile service. It just tagged service onto the end of anything that I previously had, even though I created a profile service and it was all iStreamer profile, fetch profile, and then this is going to need the user state again. So can I do this? Feels like I'm going to need to do this a lot. So let's copy and paste for now. Let's think about patterns later. GUID.parse. Authentication state provider. New directory. Infrastructure. Authentication state provider. Extensions. Static. GUID. Get user ID. What do I want there? Okay. That is grid pass user state. Get authentication state async. So I don't want that. I want authentication state. I don't want this to be provider state. Therefore, I don't care about that. I care about that. And then that state. There you go. Which means we can go back to that and remove, in this case, it keeps that a little cleaner. Yeah, you're fine. So then we can do user state dot get user ID. That cleans up that a bit. Do you get, is there an actual override that takes an I can't get to the definition of that one. Okay. Either way. So we need private streamer profile get set because that's a record. I can't do it that way. Can't have a default of them either. What do you like about that? Oh, call the page. I still won't like that because it's a record that I've got to initialize. Equals null. But that'll break because I've got that isn't initialized. I still think that was going to break. We'll find out. Need to wire up that call. So we have the server and client adapter, right? So this is the server version of the iStreamer profile service. If we're running on the client side, it would inject the API version, and that will invoke the call, which ultimately does exactly what this does. So I've got to get my head around those patterns still. Return, so var profile equals await sender.send. This is going to be a query, I think. I don't think there's no specific there's no specific get version of that. And this would be get streamer profile dot query new user identifier, right? And then return new streamer profile. So if profile dot is success, Actually, if not. The problem with making this a record is that I have to give that, or this has to change to be nullable. Does it help to give this nullable object? I don't think so, because then I've got to go on the other side. I've got to say, oh, if it's null, then default it, and I've got to do all that here. I might as well create a default version of it here. Return new streamer profile. This is where creating classes actually helps this style. Or rather, extending beyond just the record syntax, right? So public static streamer profile default equals new GUI.empty string.empty string.empty right. So now I will just return in there return streamer profile default, right? Otherwise I'll create a fresh one. That value dot identifier. Actually, I think I changed. I don't think I made that. Yeah, I did. I did make it a GUID. Profile.value dot name. Profile.value dot blurb. This is the messier one. So in the streamer profile, I'm saying this is going to be a platform identifier. To do that, oh yeah, I can implicitly cast them. Okay, so this takes the name or the identifier as I call it, right? I'm giving back a list of strings so that I don't bring that streamer. Some of the dependencies here are getting messed up because I'm not tackling this in a way I would normally build the software in that so much as I've got this Blazor thing going on that I'm not wholly comfortable with, and that has a server and a client aspect to it. And I get why I'm building those pieces. I understand why, but it's I'm not organizing the code in a normal way for me. So some of this, it's got to settle in, establish some of those patterns, get more comfortable with the layout. It's not like I don't know the code I'm writing. I'm just where I put the pieces matter. It might mean that later on I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything valuable with this. Let's refactor it. And that's the key, right? I shouldn't be scared of the code base, right? I shouldn't just move forward. Sometimes you have to move back to address future changes. And that's okay. So in this case, what I'm saying there is, this needs to be profile.value.channels.select C goes to C as platform identifier. This should cast. Select and that should be profile.value.tags. That should work. Does that work as... No, I've got a cast in there, yeah. I do hope you get to enjoy it a little bit, at least as much as you do when you make it using familiar technology. I think when I have the aha moment of oh, I'm organizing the code incorrectly because it doesn't, like, that's making it harder, or oh, I don't need to do this because I can make this more sensible. If I find one of those moments, I'm going to do better, right? It's going to click. Right now, it feels like I'm risking some incompatibility, or I'm making things harder because I'm trying to establish some patterns and some layout at the same time as trying to write some code, because this matters going forward. So I've got to get this right in my head before I start telling people, hey, you can play with this if you want to. I think I would have done a lot of this by now with Angular and the way I would normally do this, right? I think I would have built a lot more of the application. That being said, we're not doing anything. I'm proceeding. I'm happy to try. But I'm getting over that unfamiliar hump, right? Okay, so streamer profile there. If we go, eventually we're gonna decide, we're gonna make that decision of code behind or no code behind, and document it. So basically, label for input text value is input.name. So that's why we need the input model set. Not the streamer profile. That doesn't benefit us. Input model, name blurb. Oh, that does matter. That's going to be that's not going to be fun. Why are you complaining? Do I want to add the missing namespace? You don't even give me the option to do that. It appears like the authorized markup element is a component. Do you want to add the missing namespace import directive? No. Stop whining at me. So, okay. Basically what I want to do is if streamer profile dot channels dot contains platform identifier dot which, or rather if not, right, then that button doesn't show at all. Else div Twitch is linked for right this second. What I'm contemplating is how do I get that name and profile. Profile service, update profile. I kind of want to, I'm kind of thinking I need to do this in front of this, get rid of the input model and change that and that. But I can't do that because I need a read write model for that. Which means the only real way of doing that is to track input dot name equals streamer profile dot name. I'm not tracking this in two places, which doesn't feel stunning. I'm sure there's a better way of doing that, or I hope there's a better way of doing that. Because again, I don't want to put required is the concept of the model, right? It's I want to collect that. It shouldn't be a piece that I pass down from the server side. So making that streamer profile accept the understand required, etc. Because then I'm passing down form requirements to my page. I'm very cold today. Someone needs to remind it that it's almost the middle of April. See how this goes. What's the worst happens? Yeah, if you're just joining, if you are hanging out and you have questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you want to know more, I don't mind diverting. I do not have to code. If you're just sitting there and just listening to the stream, perfectly fine. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. But I'm more than happy to chat about what I'm doing if you are interested. Cannot pass the parameter body to component mainly with. Here we go. Interactive server. Streamer profile equals streamer profile dot default. Let's make sure that's got an instance. That just wants to be private because it doesn't really matter. Let's see if we even get in here. I pass the parameter body to a component mainly with. This is because the parameter is of the delegate type render fragment, which is arbitrary code and cannot be serialized. What does that even mean? What have I broken by doing that? That'll be this that's broken that. Yay. Cannot pass the parameter body to component main layout with render mode, interactive server render mode. This is because the parameters of type the delegate render fragment, which is arbitrary code and cannot be serialized. Oh, tell me it's that. Not really helpful if it is that, because that gives me another problem in that I've got to figure out what interactive server does differently than anything else. So that's the only other thing I've changed. Come on. Oh, come on. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. So what did I change? Is it a reference I've added? Is it something that I've done that's busted it? What have I changed there? I haven't done anything that's different to essentially what I'd already done. Remove that. See, this is where it's going to frustrate me the most, is when it's like, hey, this doesn't work. You should understand something. Like, not, hey, this piece of code broke this. Which Angular would tell you which piece of code broke it. It's just like, I can't do this now because now everything's busted. But why is it busted? I don't understand what I've changed enough to make that change there. I had an extension method, which shouldn't matter. I've commented out the code that's actually triggering that part. It was running earlier. I didn't swap this out for anything. I left that as is. We swapped out that. This is the only page that I've done. No, this can't be this, can it? I have to have changed something fundamental at the app level because it's not even, it doesn't go to account profile to start with. So what did I change? It has to be something I've referenced. That's fine. Add transient. That's no different. What does that mean? Let's run it once more. Find out what that message says. Maybe it tells me. It definitely says about SSR. There's only one page of actually explicitly set the thing on. Profile.razor interactive server. That was to get that form working so I can post the data. I had to put interactive server there. But I haven't changed much else. This is where this mixed mode website style stuff really like stresses me, because I'm used to client and server, right? I've worked in client and server for 20 more years. This SSR stuff, SSR is not new, right? I'm not saying that that's all new, but this mixed mode where, oh, some pieces can be on the client and some pieces can be on the server, and you can do the pieces you need wherever. But when am I calling back from the server to the server? When am I calling back from the client to the server? All those sorts of things still pickle my mind. Cannot pass the parameter body to component main layout with render mode, interactive server render mode. This is because the parameter is of the delegate type render fragment, which is arbitrary code and cannot be serialized. So, which parameter? What is the body? What component? What did I break? Routing, right? I didn't change the core of the application, so what has changed? I've never seen this error before, but this is pointing to main layout razor, which should inherit layout base. Did it ignore? Did I revert something here? Oh, why is that interactive server? I removed that. Oh, I must have committed it and rolled back the. That's interesting. I was trying to figure out logout, and apparently logout's not easy either. AI doesn't help with that. That's the problem, because the interactive server for main layout. Phew, okay. In my defense, I'd done that, I'd errored that, I removed that, and I must have rolled that back in that set of changes I did before, and I thought I'd run it since doing that commit. Apex, thank you very much for joining today. Have a great day. I'll catch you again soon. Don't forget. No, it's I'm backtracking through my own decisions there. I'm not trying to defend myself. I'm just trying to say that's why I missed that piece. I'm like, to me it matters that I'm learning that lesson. I've got to understand the error messages. And in my mind that was because of the way things were, I was looking in the wrong place. I'm trying to share that learning, not defending myself. Okay, so we can put this back in. So I want to test this part. Yes, I know I haven't just run it. I haven't run it with that commented out and validated. It now works, but hey, in for a penny. So the problem there was I was trying to figure out how to put a button in to do logout. I can't figure out how you do logout in this. That's another challenge. Normally just clear session or whatever. So yeah. Ah. No, I suppose I was inadvertently defending myself, but the intention was not to defend myself. The intention was to try and learn through that by thinking through the pieces. Yeah, it's to the point it was actually telling me what I needed to know. It was caused by me adding a tag on something that I didn't know about. There we go. So it's loading in the profile. Nice. Okay. It hasn't done that part though. Platform channels. Oh, we don't have the channel. Okay, so let's go here. No, let's close that one down. I still don't know why it opens that one. Let's go back here. Link our Twitch account. This should redirect us. And now we shouldn't see the button. Oh no. S.platform. Okay. Dot include. How do you include an include? Because that's going to do that. That's how you do it. In my offense. No, it's morning, Roger. I don't know. I think I am fully committed to using Blazor here. I'm not going to back out on that decision to use Blazor. I think it's worthwhile doing. I think there's some lessons that can be learned and taught about Blazor using this application. There's some definite benefits to doing that. There are things that I want to get to that will help me ask better, more meaningful questions from it. I did indent that then, and it automatically formatted it back. So that's going to be a battle. That's what I tried to do. So, it's okay. Twitch is linked. There you go. So now we don't have the Twitch link button because we have the Twitch account linked. We should have the Twitch account linked. He says, "Why are you refusing my connection?" Don't be refusing my connection. How are you? Properties. Test connection. 15432. Come on. Play the game. There's no pause. Come on. There's the outpost. Why have you decided to just move the port? You were working so well. Did I revert something else here? I did, didn't I? I reverted that part as well. Oh my goodness me. With endpoint, port 15432 to target port 5432. No, I will get frustrated. Like I said, the code right now, I consider it a kind of discovery. With it will evolve. My understanding will evolve. We'll create some libraries. We'll clean some stuff up. We'll make some stuff work in a different way. We'll accept those. Endpoint with TCP already exists. Name is so yeah, I'm just committed to that. There's actually a different way of doing this because I did it before and it wasn't all this faff. So I just got to figure this out. What I'm trying to do here is make sure there's a consistent port that. Oh, I know how it's done. I know how it's done. I'll show you in a second. Consistent port, and I just need to set it in add Postgre. I'm pretty sure it's in there. I reverted it when I did the revert on a single line there. Yeah. We'll we can call this. We can do this. Then we've made some really good progress this week on getting developers.stream up and running. Okay, there we go. There we go. There you go. Work. There you go. Channels. There you go. So our channel is there. Refresh that. Yeah, there's a. So what I've just caused there is there to be two TCP ports because they're both mapped to 5432 underneath. There's our account. We can refresh that. Our profile. We can update that. This is about me. I stream things and stuff. We can hit that. We should be able to refresh and get the same data back. So now that's the name. That will be the name that will show on the homepage. And we should see this is about me. I stream things and stuff, right? So we've changed our profile there as well. That is much better. Go back to profile, right? If we delete that once more, right? Refresh. We now have our linked Twitch account. We link it. We get back. Twitch is linked. Okay, so progress. Finally, we're now able to associate ourselves with a Twitch stream. So on Monday, what we'll do is jump around a little bit, but just for the purpose of making some progress. We'll make the cards only load Twitch streamers that have channels linked to them, or link streamer profiles that have accounts that have channels linked to them. So these three will disappear because they don't have any channels linked to them, right? And this one will show just this icon right now, right? And then we'll make this link out to that channel, right? Because again, we capture that. We capture that channel. So we'll say, oh, we've got a Twitch channel. It's got a platform, right? Links to Twitch. Therefore, we'll have that. And that will allow us to then show only cards that are linked. So if you sign into the site and you don't ever link channel, you're not going to appear in any search. That's the purpose. And then we'll start to build out those pieces. But we are making progress. We are getting there. We'll pull these together on Monday and start working down the line. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So right now I am committing stuff. We'll get this committed. Provide user profile. Actually, before I do that, I want to just go back to this. I know I'm over time. I think in here I can set the port 15432. I think that avoids that entire thing. I don't want to make I don't want to make multiple ports and all that sort of stuff. If I can just make it simpler there. Yeah, there you go. 15432. So this should run still. Right. Right. Profile. Hello? Oh yeah, it's still going. Okay. Oh, that's Liquid Sky. Yeah, it's fine. There's a profile. Sweet. Okay. We have apparently a drop off in viewership. We have achieved stuff today. We've got this working in a better way. I'm happy that we got Twitch linked. We now have that ability. That means we can proceed with the next stage, which is getting those cards to display based upon linked channels. we can reorganize the code. We can go through, there's certain things I want to go through because obviously, and I'd like to use this as kind of a lesson. Right now we have the adapters client, adapters server. So that service that I just used here, right, that is invoked from the server. So that when it's running server whatever mode, it's calling this. If it was running on the client mode, it's going to call this. So I need to put endpoints in place in the API level for these to exist. And ultimately, they're going to call the same things here, right? So there's an adapter there. I'm still concerned about double development there. I get that it then gives me the option of going server or client on any given piece. It does mean that code has to be cleaner and more consistent and reusable. So it kind of forces that hand. But kind of evaluate these patterns, start to strengthen this up, and then get this working. Also, logout. I don't know how to do logout. We need to put that in there. So let's do this. Extension scratches. Where are we? Okay. So where are we? Let's do 4, 11, 25. Profile. Functioning. Need logout. Need API side of profile service implemented. And I would like to experiment with some of that stuff as well. And not just have it yeah, there you go. So that's, where are we? That's where we are. Okay, so let's go raid. It is 9:07, so I am a bit running late. We're gonna raid Frank, but however, don't forget it's Friday. Friday is our community days at One Line Stream. I hope to be there, but I do have meetings, so we'll see. Maybe one day we'll actually reignite that AI conversation and get into it a little bit more in a voice chat. But yeah. Don't forget, if you like .NET content, go join One Line Stream. Fantastic streamer, fantastic person, and very worthwhile following. But for now, we're going to go raid. Yeah. Frank, he is working on a game thing. He's using Blazor. He's using Aspire. He continues on the theme. So we'll go see him. Have a great rest of your day if I don't see you again. Have a great weekend. And I'll be back Monday with more of this and getting this up and running in a better way. I'll get this committed and pushed shortly so that if you are interested in checking out this code and you want to have a look through, even though it's not open for contributions, you're more than welcome to. So, Napalm, hello, goodbye. Sorry about that. Have a great one, all. Take care. See you later. Bye.